What up, world? What's going on with y'all? Wanted to check in. I think a lot of times we overlook what faith really feel like. I think it's impossible to have faith without the bottom. You cannot believe for something if everything is always working exactly on time on schedule. A lot of times you need a routine, you need habits, you need a plan, you need consistency, and I think you really learn when you fail doing right, when you fail doing following the process and going through every step the right way. It's a there's a learning lesson or a learning curve from failure by default. But when you do everything right, it's a little bit easier to figure out where you went wrong. And then you have to adjust from there. But more importantly, you have to understand that some stuff is just outside of your control. Now, if you do everything right and the things don't work out, then understanding that it's gonna work out is the faith part of it. So it's a two-part, three-part thing where you have to have the faith to understand that no matter what, it's gonna work out. But I have to have the consistency and the discipline to make sure that I'm doing right so that if it doesn't work out, when things don't go the right way, I can pinpoint where I need to pivot or where I need to adjust so that I can make it happen. And at the same time, I have the positivity to know that it's gonna work out regardless. So I think that the funny part about it is that you can only learn from failure, and when you failing, it feels like it's the most overwhelming moment ever. I think with sports especially, we consider like games that we lose, and it's like we always have to tell teams and members and teammates like you don't have to win every game to win a championship. You don't have to win every battle to win the war. It's just when you lose and you not winning how you want to win and it's not looking the way you want it to look, that can be like the hardest part of the whole process. A lot of times you'll see people like, why do they give up? Why do they walk away? And they were so close. And if they knew how close they were, they wouldn't give up. But if I knew how close I was, maybe I wouldn't be willing to go as far as it took me to go if I had to go further. Because sometimes you got a long way to go. Sometimes it's not going to be instant gratification. I was thinking about, I went to a Van Gogh exhibit, a 3D immersive Van Gogh exhibit a few years ago. And before I went, I heard of Van Gogh. I know the paintings, but I didn't really quite know his story. So I watched two like docuseries or documentary movies about his life. And upon realizing it, it's like he didn't get to actually enjoy any of his fame and fortune because his art did not pop the way that it does now until after he was dead. And it's like, is it worth it? Would you still go? Would you still do it if you don't even get to enjoy the fruits of your labor? If someone else is going to live off the fruits of your labor, would you still do it? And there's some things that you may or may not do if you knew what it really took to get there or what was going to happen for you to get to the end. And even in a more less drastic fashion, you can have the understanding like you want a certain type of fame or fortune, or you want to have a certain type of success in your career, and maybe you want it in your 20s or 30s, but it's not coming to you in your 40s or 50s. Would you still work at it if you knew that it wasn't going to come so late? Or would you chase after it like you thought it was going to happen tomorrow, the same with the same fervor, the same enthusiasm? Would you still go after it with the same intensity, knowing that it's still not going to come for another 30 or 40 years? But when you get it, it could be. Now, and that's the thing about faith, is understanding of what could happen. It doesn't mean that it'll go the way you want to, but it could be the greatest moment of your life if you're willing to chase after it. But at the same time, in the moment, in the present, can you keep the positive attitude necessary for you to see this thing through? Can you believe in the faith? Can you believe in your existence that things will work out and still get to the finish line? And that's the hard part about it, is in the moment it does not feel good. And I love looking back at situations that I did not see an answer to, that I did everything right or I did everything wrong and it still worked out, because it's like, dang, I'm glad I did hold my head up in the moment, because that's crazy. I had no idea how it was going to work, but it did work out for me. And if you remind yourself of that when those situations come back and you're in another uncomfortable situation, you may have a chance to stand 10 toes down a little bit, with a little bit more grace, with a little bit more enthusiasm, because you know it's gonna work out. I just got to keep going. I just got to keep grinding. I just got to keep working. And that's the hardest part, is knowing that it can happen and it can work, but it's all on you. And when you understand that it's all on you, it's a certain type of pressure, a certain type of push that's supposed to push you through and make sure you get to the finish line. And you got to find that. You got to chase that feeling. You got to chase that enthusiasm. And you got to believe that it's going to happen. Other than that, I'm going to get back to it. I just thought that we should, tap in every now and then to make sure that people in the present understand that this moment don't last forever. You just got to see it through. That's all I got.